I'm Maxine from Absolute Collagen, and I am super excited today because we've got the wonderful Eva Proudman, UK's top trichologist, with us for your hair questions. So, hi Eva, nice to see you again.
And you too, Maxine, a privilege to be here.
Oh, how lovely. I met Eva a year and a half, 2 years ago, and I asked Eva to do some trials on Absolute Collagen because we had such an amazing result with the hair. So Eva's sort of been on board since, and we're just so privileged to have her on board as part of our team. So we sent out a newsletter asking for all your questions related to hair. And so we've got some coming through now. So I'm just going to read a few out, and then Eva and I are going to go through them.
Absolutely, yeah.
And if we don't mention you, don't think we've forgotten you, we've grouped a lot of them together because a lot of them are quite similar. And equally so, if we don't happen to answer your specific question and you really, really want answered, please email eva@absolutecollagen.com. So our first question is from Emma. So Emma has been saying that her hair's always been fine and is getting less and less. I guess she's getting slightly older, wearing hair extensions, and she says she knows that that's not the right solution, and she's hoping that AC will improve her hair so she no longer needs them. So what would you say to that, Eva?
Well, I see lots and lots of people in clinic that have got exactly this problem, that their hair just seems to be getting thinner and thinner.
Yeah.
Things like they'll say to me, it isn't growing, it's breaking, the ponytail's a lot thinner. And really, it needs an examination and a look at quite a few different aspects. We need to look at diet, lifestyle, pathology. The hair's the second fastest dividing cell in the body and very hungry for nutrition. And whilst Absolute Collagen can play a massive part in providing that, unless we accurately diagnose why your hair's getting thinner, we can't give you an holistic treatment, and that's what the hair needs every time. I'm confident that if I saw you, we could diagnose exactly what's going on and we could get density back. Whether you would then stop wearing the hair extensions completely, that's a question for you, because quite often we forget what our hair was actually like when we've been adding hair to it. There's no problem wearing hair extensions as long as they're well applied and well maintained. But my answer, I guess, is Absolute Collagen will definitely support the structure of the hair and the maintenance of the hair. The overall reason it seems to be getting finer and thinner needs a diagnosis, and then we can put a complete package together.
Okay, so that seems to be what we're getting, the feedback. If you go onto our website, we've got loads and hundreds of reviews, and a lot of people saying that the collagen is definitely helping their hair, and it will help most people. But if, like Eva says, if you have quite a serious underlying problem, then you need to get diagnosed, go along and see Eva, and get it sorted. So we've got another one coming in from Lisa. How does collagen help with hair health, and can it also help with the scalp?
Absolutely. The way collagen helps is that collagen is a protein, and the body's made up of little tiny Lego blocks called amino acids. And we get amino acids from two places. We can either make them internally, we have 23 in total, and the body makes all of them except for 8, and they are called the 8 essential amino acids that we have to get from diet. And these little sachets are absolutely packed with those 8 essential amino acids. And we need those for maintenance, structure, circulation, anti-inflammatory, autoimmune regulation. They do lots and lots of different things. In fact, my blog that's just about to go up this month talks about what each of those do. And it's those amino acids that help the structure of the hair and also help to keep the scalp balanced and healthy. And the scalp's really important for good hair. And sometimes I think we all forget that.
Yeah, I think we do. And some of what Eva's saying as well, we were having a conversation before you came live, is that everybody's body reacts differently. And I know from my personal journey with my own daughter who has alopecia, we'll get onto that later, she had 2 bouts of alopecia. One, it took 10 months to turn her body round, and the next time it only took between 5 and 6 months. And she did suffer quite big bald patches, and I think it's probably on our website. And if you want me to send you the before and after photographs, I can. And we gave her the collagen, and you know, sometimes it's not about a poor diet. Sometimes it's the way your body processes the vitamins and everything.
Absolutely.
You know, we don't all have a great system. If your system's not firing on all cylinders, it might not be processing them properly. So we've got Alison here. Will taking Absolute Collagen help to actually replace lost hair rather than just aiding with hair loss? Sorry.
Okay, that's quite a complicated question, because it really depends what the hair loss is down to. And again, this is where seeing a trichologist would really help. If the hair loss is something that is going to be permanent, it wouldn't matter what you took, you're never going to get that hair back. However, the really good news is there are many, many conditions where the hair loss is temporary, or the hair is shedding more quickly and regrowing because things are out of balance. And with those conditions, yes, Absolute Collagen can really, really help. Again, it's about getting that accurate diagnosis so that when you start a treatment regime, you're taking all the right things, you're treating all the areas, and that way you get the best result. So ultimately, it's what the hair loss is down to as to how much Absolute Collagen can help.
Okay, lovely. So we've got Pamela. Having been excited at using Absolute Collagen for mainly my hair and bones, I am wondering how long it takes to see a difference in my hair. Now, this is interesting because this is why I contacted Eva in the beginning. So we had people within a few weeks saying their hair seemed smoother, and we were like, well, scientifically, that cannot be possible. So I reached out to Eva and said, how can this be? This is when Eva did the perception trial. And what you found, it was the sebum. So the collagen was increasing the level of sebum, and sebum was sort of coming out into the scalp. And because we touch our hair or we brush it, the sebum was traveling down the shaft and making the hair smoother. And that was really interesting.
Yeah. Again, doing the perception trial for me scientifically was really interesting, because as a trichologist we would say nothing really has an effect until 4 months, but having reviewed these people every 2 weeks, you could see the change in the texture, and the texture was all about that sebum, which is the natural conditioner, making the hair fibers much smoother, and the collagen aiding the effective production of it, and in some cases actually reducing inflammation on the scalp and allowing that sebum to react more effectively. So and again, everybody's individual, and it really depends what the problem is as to how quickly you're going to see some kind of improvement. And I see it, I've got 7 clinics across the UK, and I see people on the same treatment regimes responding in very, very different timescales. Yeah, it's about everything that's going on with your body, not just one element of it.
One of the things I noticed, I've got psoriasis and I've got it on my scalp, and I did have it on my body, and I noticed that really cleared up quite fast.
Yes.
And I assume that was to do with the sebum as well.
It's to do with the proliferation of the cells that the skin reproduces over a monthly cycle, and with psoriasis it does it weekly. And again, the collagen can help to slow that and stop the skin from building those plaques that you get on the body and on the scalp. Okay, lovely. And just staying on sebum, so the guys of you with shaving, sebum, obviously if you increase sebum on your face, your shaving will be a lot easier, a lot smoother. So that's really good. And obviously for us women that shave our legs and things as well, absolutely,
that can be good. So do you want to read one? Which one are we on now? I think we are on this one.
I have thick hair at the sides and the back, but it's now thinning slightly on the top. My hair is darker on the sides and back compared to the top, which is greying now. Any answers would be great. Would you still recommend Absolute Collagen? Again, when the hair is thinning, we need to look at what that thinning is due to. Is it due to a growth cycle issue? Is it due to natural aging? Or is it due to an androgenetic alopecia? And that can be male or female. And what happens with androgenetic alopecia is you don't really notice where the hair's going to, you just notice it's going.
Sure.
And that's because it thins, it miniaturizes through each 4-monthly growth cycle until the hair stops growing altogether. That it would be a combined treatment for androgenetic alopecia. We'd probably be looking at topical minoxidil that stops that miniaturization and brings density back. But we could well be looking at Absolute Collagen as well, looking at those amino acids and as a dietary supplement, particularly if there's an absorption issue. Particularly if it's around the time of the menopause. Quite often we'll see pathology levels drop, things like stored iron, vitamin D, vitamin B12. Protein portions often go down because we're all conscious we don't want to put any weight on. And again, that Absolute Collagen can be part of a really effective treatment program.
Yeah, because there's nearly 8 grams of protein in one sachet. And it's, you know, it's a good protein, you know, it's good for the overall body.
Yeah.
There's somebody there saying that their hair is darker on the sides compared to the top, which is greying now. So the collagen's not going to have any effect on the colour of your hair, is it?
No, it's not. The greying, again, is usually inherited. It comes from your genetics. And there are things in and around the root of the hair called melanocytes. And melanocytes produce melanin, and melanin produces the colour. As we age, those melanocytes get less. Sometimes with things like alopecia areata, the hair will come back unpigmented and then will colour. And that's because the autoimmune disrupts the melanocytes as well as the growth of the hair. So quite often, if you've got a family that greyed very early or greyed in a particular pattern, you may well inherit that.
So my daughters, watch out, you're probably going to be grey. Sorry, but you probably are.
I'm lovely with it though.
Oh, thank you. So, Veronica, I am aware there is no treatment for alopecia areata. However, I was hoping that it may improve my hair. That Absolute Collagen, I assume she's talking about.
Yeah, alopecia areata is a very difficult one because it's autoimmune driven. It's what we call spontaneous. So it can occur spontaneously and it can recover spontaneously, which is why there's no guaranteed treatment. There are supportive treatments.
Okay.
An important area to look at is vitamin D. If vitamin D is low or deficient, and lots of people's is, vitamin D has a role in regulating the autoimmune system. There's also a vitamin D receptor in the hair, so the two combined can often help. Diet can help, and again, getting the adequate complete proteins.
So, sorry to interrupt you, what would I be putting in my body for vitamin D?
Vitamin D is a fat-soluble vitamin, and you get it from all the sunshine vegetables. You get it from the sun.
So anything grown in the sun,
yeah. And you need an element of fat in your diet for the vitamin D to dissolve in and be used. Yeah. And what we find in clinic is all these different diets that take elements out, so very low fat or no carbs or no protein. They affect on the hair very, very quickly.
Yeah, I mean, I've been doing a lot of research myself on good fats, and I've increased my good fats because it suppresses my appetite, or not that I'm trying to not eat, of course I eat, but it also keeps me switched on.
Yes.
And I really notice a difference. If I cut my fats out, my whole body just feels atrocious. But it's good fats, isn't it? So it's grass-fed butter. We have, you know, so that is essential.
Yeah, I was on a nutritional seminar looking at research into how nutrition affects the hair. And we were talking about fat has a really bad reputation.
It does.
That isn't earned. The new research, it isn't about the fats giving you high cholesterol. Yeah. It's more about how some of the sugars react. And good fats, normal fats like butter, like cream, if you don't have loads of them, but you have them in your diet, A, they satisfy you, but B, your body knows what to do with them. When we start modifying and changing things, that's when the body has a little bit of a problem because it doesn't quite know how to process
it's them. Really interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
So there's one person here saying, so it's Sheila. Hi, Sheila. I'm one of the lucky ones I know and already have thick hair. My concern is how much thicker would it become? That's interesting because as I've got older, I'm 53 and I think I'm probably out of the menopause now. My hair's really thick and it's become thicker, I think, unless it's just because it's shorter.
there's two things really about how thick can your hair become. There's two things that define it. One is the colour and number of follicles that you're born with, and that stays and doesn't change. And then it's how effective those follicles are. So a hair follicle can grow anywhere from 1 hair to 4. And what you'd probably find if I looked with my scalp microscope is that A, you've got a good density of follicles because you've got quite a dark base colour, and B, you've got lots of multiple follicles, so you've got lots of hair fibres growing. And it's that determines the density. Around menopause, lots of ladies will complain that their hair's getting thinner. Now, that thinning can be due to different things. It can be due to an excess shedding. It can be due to the age and the overall diameter getting slightly thinner. Or it can be due to the estrogen levels dropping and the testosterone levels coming up. So again, it's about looking at what's causing that thinning. But by no means is the menopause a sentence to having to have thin, sparse hair at all. But when you've got thick hair, it's not going to keep getting thicker and thicker and thicker. What you have is what you have. What the Absolute Collagen does is improve the texture of it. And when you've got a lot of hair, quite often it's more on the coarse side because that sebum doesn't get through it all. And so the collagen will really help in smoothing that texture through.
Thank you. So Pat, sounds like you're having a bit of a tough time. Pat's 67 and she has frontal fibrosing alopecia. I've had it for about 3 years. When I lost my eyebrows, and then my hairline has been slowly receding. Poor Pat. I mean, that's, it must be, I mean, I've got a thick head of hair, we've just been discussing, and it must be awful to be going through that. So obviously she's lost her eyebrows as well. That's quite something, isn't it?
Yes, yeah. And with frontal fibrosing alopecia, quite often it's the outer third of the eyebrow that you lose, and then the rest thins. And frontal fibrosing alopecia is one of those things that can be managed. What quite often happens is it isn't diagnosed. And frontal fibrosing alopecia can take the hairline, from the hairline back to the crown, all across the front, in front of the ears, we call that pre-auricular, and behind the ears, post-auricular. With the right treatment, and it's usually a combination of a topical steroid and an anti-malarial or an autoimmune suppressant, it can slow that progress so it burns out and it doesn't go all the way back. What I would say is Absolute Collagen can help with the quality of the remaining hair, which sometimes isn't fantastic. It can also help with the underlying inflammation that exists. And frontal fibrosing doesn't have to be a life sentence to thinking, I'll have to wear a wig. Quite the opposite, because you've got a great head of hair at the back. There's some really clever solutions that sit in the front and you wouldn't know they were there. So again, it's worth talking to somebody that can really help. Yeah,
so Pat, Eva's email, drop her an email, eva@absolutecollagen.com. Joanne, will I endure initial massive hair loss if I use minoxidil? So what is minoxidil?
Minoxidil is a topical treatment predominantly, although you can get it in tablet form, for androgenetic alopecia. It only works on male or female pattern hair loss. It comes in 2 strengths, traditionally 2% for ladies, 5% for men. And you apply it topically where the hair is miniaturizing, and it stops the miniaturization, it brings the density back, and it stops the pattern from progressing. It's very, very effective. What can happen in some cases, and by no means every case, is depending where in your growth cycle you are, if you start using it and that miniaturized hair is ready to naturally shed, it may shed slightly more quickly to begin with, but it will grow back in, and it isn't like you get a massive loss, it's a little bit more shedding. So my advice, and I'm asked this a lot in clinic, is go with it, because the difference you see within 4, 5, 6 months is amazing. And the other thing with minoxidil is the sooner you get it diagnosed and the sooner you treat with it, the better the outcome, because it needs the hair there to work with. If the hair's gone, it's gone.
And I think from what I gather, speaking to my absoluters, is what happens is they go to the doctors, and then there's a process that can take forever.
Yes.
And
yeah.
It just takes so long that when they get round to it, the hair's already gone.
Yeah.
Just pop this back on the minute.
And quite often, and I know this is the case from working with GPs, the GPs don't really train on the hair or scalp because we don't need it. They're bothered about keeping your general health alive. Dermatologists, there are a few that specialise in the hair and scalp, and they are brilliant. And I refer to them all the time when I need prescriptions. Lots of dermatologists don't, and they're not a whole lot better than going to your GP. My advice is it's well worth the investment to go to a qualified trichologist as early as you can. At least then you get a whole hair, health and scalp check, and you can spot anything before it becomes a problem. And I think that's really key.
Yeah, okay, that's brilliant. So Fran, hi Fran, she has an underactive thyroid and her hair has changed for the worse. Lots of my hair fell out and the remaining hair is lifeless and papery. What can I do to support the hair? And then she said, and nails. So thyroid, that's quite interesting, isn't it?
It is, yeah. Thyroid is part of the endocrine system, and the endocrine system is very complicated. And
it's a butterfly.
It is a little butterfly gland that sits in here, and it supports and it affects a lot of the body's metabolism. So an underactive thyroid, hypo, you're slow, lethargic, weight gain, cold, hair doesn't grow as quickly, hair falls out because your body isn't metabolizing effectively what it needs to keep that hair growing. It is temporary, we can reverse it. Hyper, as in overactive, the other way. You're jittery and shaky, you lose weight, you can't sleep, you're doing everything at 100 miles an hour. If you sit and look at a hypo or a hyperthyroidism, the difference is really obvious. And it's really important to get it diagnosed properly. There's 3 tests.
Yeah, my youngest daughter, it took a year and a half and we got nowhere.
Yeah.
And then a hair fell out.
You need the TSH, which is the thyroid stimulating hormone. The hypothalamus uses that to tell the body how much T3 and T4 to make. T3 and T4 are the 2 hormones. That's the easiest way to describe it. And if they're out of balance, your whole body's out of whack. It can feel really poorly. But getting a dose of thyroxine correct can rebalance it. And once it's stabilised, then looking at anything else that's fallen by the wayside pathology-wise. Quite often, again, it can be stored iron, it can be vitamin B12, it can be dietary because you don't eat as well as you should.
Again, it's protein as well,
isn't
protein. It? I mean, I've just got a bit here, and it says that collagen is your body's most prolific protein. It's as valuable as gold dust, and is pretty much your thyroid's best friend in terms of helping it function. It watches your thyroid's back. And it goes on to say, thyroid thirsts for collagen like the desert craves the rain. It needs an optimal supply to maintain the body's metabolic performance. So again, it's just making sure you're getting everything you need.
Yeah.
And I think, it's really important, isn't it?
It is. And again, it's using that holistic treatment. So medically, the GP, the endocrinologist will treat the thyroidism and they'll balance that. Absolute Collagen, maybe vitamins, minerals, dietary changes will help you to further better the hair than just the thyroid treatment on its own. And
I'll tell you what I tend to do, which is never good, is I consult Dr. Google. And get so confused. Yeah. I end up with so many different potions that I just don't know what to do. So I think it is about keeping it simple and getting the best advice first, isn't it?
Absolutely. Yeah. And getting the accurate advice. Yeah. It's an accurate diagnosis. That's what makes the difference. Yeah.
Okay. So we've got Deborah here. She's got eczema on her scalp. Will collagen help? Any other advice would be greatly appreciated.
Now, when we did the perception trial, I had a lady that suffered from scalp eczema, And yes, it really helped. It reduced the flaking, it calmed the scalp. It didn't clear it up 100%. We used a treatment shampoo to finish that little bit off. But that's about the way the body works.
Yeah.
So with scalp eczema, the sebum gland is overactive, so you're producing more sebum. Yeah. The skin cells sit in it and overproduce with the itching and the flaking. And we need to balance that as well as looking at that underlying inflammation. Okay. So the Absolute Collagen does the body underlying inflammation and helps with the quality of the hair. And a really good treatment shampoo will balance the scalp, and the two together will manage it until it flares again.
And how long did you do perception trial first? Was it 12 weeks?
12 weeks.
Yeah, because again, what we've noticed here is everyone's different. Everybody's body reacts differently. So we could get people within days notice, and other people take a few months. And we sort of say a typical is around about 6 to 8 weeks for the hair. But for your skin, if you're looking at hair, it's going to take longer.
Always longer.
So you've got to give it time. And, you can't expect miracles overnight, can you?
No. And again, everybody's condition is different. Yeah. The severity of it, how long it's been a problem, what treatments have or haven't been tried, and that will impact the effect of how quickly you see improvements.
Okay, so we also got a few questions related to menopause, and so can collagen support me in menopause? So collagen actually has been proven to regulate your hormone levels, and again, it goes back to the protein. I don't know what it is, but we don't eat enough protein.
Nowhere near enough.
We need protein. Like you keep saying, it's a building block. We need it. So
we need. I now in my hair health clinics, I have a protein fact sheet that will tell you what a raw portion of protein is and how much absorbed you'll get. You need, as a lady, 50 to 65 grams a day, and as a guy, about 75 grams.
So 50 to 60 grams a day. So what are we talking? If that was a piece of salmon or a piece of chicken,
okay, so 120 grams of salmon or chicken will give you about 25 to 30 grams of protein. So you need a lot.
Yeah.
And again, when we're thinking about proteins, the hair needs complete ones. So ideally it needs animal-based ones. I know not everybody likes meat. I don't like it particularly. I do eat it, but I wouldn't say it was my favourite thing. And what happens is you need less of those animal ones sitting at the top and a lot more of those plant-based ones at the bottom. For example, 100 grams of chickpeas doesn't give you as much protein as is in there. 100 grams of chickpeas is 7 grams of protein. There's 8 grams in there. So when you're thinking about that volume, it's about reassessing portion sizes. We all think we do really well. We really don't.
Okay.
Me included.
Me included too. I just keep taking collagen.
Me too.
So we've got a lady coming today. I think that's probably it for the questions today. And we've just been inundated, and we will do this again. If it's something you want, let us know. It just worries me that people are out there that they're taking like a year and a half to get the help they need, and by that time that they're suffering greatly, and you shouldn't have to do that. So I've got a lady coming in later on today, and she's a friend of mine, and she has been suffering very bad with thinning hair and losing her hair now for quite a number of years. She's in just touching 60. You'd never believe it. She looks adorable. And we're going to try her on the collagen, and we're going to track the performance, take some photographs over a period of quite a long time. Let's do sort of 9 months and see what happens. And we'll keep you updated on that. And it's been fantastic talking to you, and we've loved all your questions. And Eva, thank you very, very much.
Thank you for having me. And
pleasure.
If you've got any questions, just do please email me and I will get back to you. It's never a problem.
Super. Thank you very much.
Well, I don't know. Once we got going, we're on fire.
Yeah, once we got going, I always